There is a moment in many marriages that no one talks about. It does not happen on the wedding day, and it does not happen in the first few weeks. It happens slowly and quietly, almost without notice. At some point, you begin to feel that something is different. It is not completely wrong and not completely broken, but different in a way that is difficult to explain. You look at the person you married and you feel like you know them, but at the same time, something about them feels unfamiliar. This creates a question that stays in your mind. Why do they feel different now? Why are they not the same as before? The answer is not what most people expect. They did not suddenly change. You are seeing them more clearly now. Marriage removes distance. It removes limited interaction. It removes the conditions that once controlled behavior. Before marriage, you see a person in moments. Conversations are short. Meetings are planned. Time is intentional. In those moments, both people are aware of what they say, how they behave, and how they are being perceived. This awareness shapes behavior. It creates a version of the person that is more controlled, more patient, and more attentive. This happens because they are trying. They are trying to build connection, to be understood, and to be accepted. Effort changes behavior, even when it is not fully intentional. It makes people more careful, more adjusted, and more aligned with what they believe is expected. But effort is not permanent. It requires energy, and energy cannot stay at the same level forever. After marriage, something important changes. The relationship feels secure, feels stable. It feels like something that is not going anywhere. When the mind reaches that level of security, it relaxes. It stops monitoring every reaction. It stops controlling every response. It stops filtering every emotion. As a result, behavior becomes natural. It is no longer intentional or adjusted. It becomes automatic. This is where personality begins to reveal itself. Not because something new is created, but because something hidden is no longer being controlled. This is the shift from effort to authenticity. And authenticity includes everything. Not only the positive traits, but also the unfiltered ones. It includes habits, reactions, and emotional patterns that were always present but not always visible. Before marriage, you see how someone behaves when they are trying. After marriage, you see how someone behaves when they are not trying. This difference feels like change, but it is not change. It is exposure. Exposure creates clarity, because personality is not defined by moments. It is defined by patterns. It is revealed in how someone behaves consistently, how they respond under pressure, and how they act when they are not thinking. These patterns take time to appear, and marriage provides that time. It creates continuous interaction, not just selected moments, but everyday life. This is where many people mistake desire for motivation. They believe desire drives action, but psychologically, desire-driven action lacks endurance, collapses under friction. True motivation is sustained by meaning. Desire is sustained by immediacy. When desire controls the mind, meaning is replaced by momentum. You keep moving, but you don't know why. Another critical effect is identity erosion. When actions are guided by desire rather than values, identity becomes inconsistent. You become different versions of yourself depending on impulse. This inconsistency creates inner instability. You don't trust your decisions. You second-guess yourself. Confidence erodes, not because you lack ability, but because your behavior feels unpredictable even to you. This unpredictability is exhausting. It leads to anxiety. The mind is always on alert, anticipating regret. Another subtle change occurs in how people relate to time. The future loses weight. Consequences feel abstract. This is why desire-controlled living often coexists with procrastination. Why invest in tomorrow when today feels urgent? The mind begins to trade long-term freedom for short-term relief. And it doesn't feel like a trade. It feels like survival. Desire also alters emotional regulation. Instead of processing emotions, the mind escapes them. Sadness? Distract. Stress? Indulge. Loneliness? Stimulate. This prevents emotional maturation. Emotions remain unresolved. They resurface stronger. Desire becomes the primary coping mechanism. At this point, desire is no longer about pleasure. It is about avoidance. Avoidance of discomfort. Avoidance of stillness. Avoidance of self-confrontation. This is the deepest level of control, when desire prevents self-awareness. And this is why simply stopping rarely works. Removing desire without replacing regulation creates a vacuum. The mind panics. It reaches for substitutes. This is why people often relapse when they try extreme restraint. As time passes after marriage, something deeper begins to unfold, not in a dramatic way, but in a steady and consistent way. You start noticing patterns, not just actions, but repeated behaviors, the way they respond, the way they react, the way they handle everyday situations. And slowly, these patterns begin to form a clear image, an image that was not fully visible before, because before marriage, most of what you saw was influenced by awareness. But now, you are seeing behavior influenced by habit, and habit reveals truth. Most people believe personality is simple, that what you see is what a person is. But personality is layered. There is the conscious layer, the part people control, the part they present, the part they adjust based on situation. And then there is the subconscious layer, the part that operates automatically, the part that shows up without thinking, the part shaped by years of experience. Before marriage, you mostly see the conscious layer. After marriage, you begin to see the subconscious one. And this is where the real personality lies. One of the strongest moments where personality appears is stress, because stress removes control. When someone is calm, they can manage their behavior. They can choose how to respond. But when they are stressed, their natural patterns take over. Some people become quiet. They withdraw. They avoid. Others become reactive. They express frustration. They lose patience. And these reactions are not new. They were always there, but they were not visible because the right conditions were not present. Marriage creates those conditions because life becomes shared, and stress becomes part of that shared life. Another important layer is emotional availability. Before marriage, people are more present. They listen, they respond, they engage because they are investing. But after marriage, life becomes divided, tension shifts, energy gets distributed, and this is where emotional patterns appear. Some people remain emotionally available. They continue to connect. They continue to listen. They stay present. Others slowly disconnect. Not intentionally, but gradually. They become less expressive, less responsive, less engaged, and this creates a gap. Because emotional availability is not about love. It is about capacity, and capacity becomes visible over time. Before marriage, communication is careful. People think before they speak. They choose words. They try to avoid conflict. But after marriage, communication becomes natural, automatic, unfiltered, and this is where real communication style appears. Some people communicate openly. They express clearly. They address issues directly. Others avoid. They stay silent. They delay. They suppress. And this difference becomes more visible because now communication is constant, not occasional. And constant communication reveals patterns. One of the deepest influences on personality is upbringing, the environment someone grew up in, the behavior they observed, the way they learned to handle emotions. And these patterns do not disappear. They stay, even if they are not visible at first, because in the beginning, people operate consciously, but over time, subconscious patterns take over. The way someone handles conflict, the way someone expresses care, the way someone reacts emotionally, all of it is influenced by what they learned earlier. And marriage brings these patterns into daily life, where they can no longer stay hidden. As the relationship becomes stable, comfort increases, and comfort removes filters. When someone feels fully comfortable, they stop controlling certain behaviors. They stop adjusting reactions. They stop holding back. And this is not always negative. It is natural, but it reveals everything, not just the good, but also the difficult, impatience, avoidance, emotional distance, or even deeper qualities like support, consistency, stability, because real personality is not selective. It is complete. This is where people begin to feel something unexpected, a gap. The image they had does not fully match the reality they are experiencing, and this creates confusion because both are real, but one was limited and the other is complete, and the mind struggles to adjust because it was attached to the earlier image. This is the point where real understanding begins, not when everything feels perfect, but when everything becomes visible, because understanding does not come from moments. It comes from patterns, from consistency, from repetition, and marriage provides that environment where repetition reveals truth. And this is the truth most people never fully realize. You do not truly know a person until you see them without effort, without pressure, without performance, in their natural state. because that is who they are consistently, and marriage reveals that consistency. As these layers continue to reveal themselves, something begins to shift inside the relationship, not just in how you see the other person, but in how you feel. At first, it was only observation. You were noticing patterns. You were understanding behavior. But now, it starts becoming emotional, because once you see something clearly, you cannot unsee it, and that clarity changes your experience. At some point, a thought begins to form, not loud, not dramatic, but present. This is not what I expected. And this thought does not come from one moment. It comes from repetition, from seeing the same behavior again and again, from experiencing the same emotional response. And slowly, expectation and reality stop matching, and that gap creates disappointment, not because the person is wrong, but because the image was incomplete. Before marriage, you connect with an image, a real image, but not a complete one, an image shaped by effort, by awareness, by intention. After marriage, you connect with reality, and reality includes everything: the strengths, the limitations, the habits, the emotional patterns. And when the image and reality do not align, it creates confusion, because both feel true, but one feels different. As this continues, your emotional response changes. You react differently. You feel differently. You engage differently, because your perception has changed. And perception shapes emotion. You are no longer responding to who you thought they were. You are responding to who they consistently are. And this creates a shift from excitement to stability, from curiosity to familiarity, from emotional intensity to normal experience. And this shift feels like loss, even when it is not. Many people describe this phase in the same way. Something is missing, but they cannot explain what, because nothing is clearly wrong. There is no big issue and no major conflict, and yet the feeling is real. And this happens because the mind is comparing two different experiences: the intensity of the beginning and the stability of reality. And stability feels less intense, even if it is more real. At this stage, expectations become more visible. Not the spoken ones, but the hidden ones. You expect certain behavior, certain emotional responses, and certain levels of attention. And when those expectations are not met, it creates dissatisfaction, not because something is wrong, but because something was assumed. This is where understanding becomes important, because long-term relationships are not built on intensity, they are built on consistency. They are not defined by emotional highs, they are defined by stability. And stability feels different. It is quieter, less dramatic, and less exciting, but deeper, more grounded, and more real. And if this is not understood, it feels like something is missing. At some point, everything becomes clear, not suddenly, but gradually. You begin to see the person as they are, not as they appeared before, not as you imagined, but as they consistently show themselves. And this clarity creates a decision, not always spoken, but felt. Can I accept this reality? This is where everything depends. If you resist reality, you stay stuck in disappointment. If you accept reality, you gain clarity. Because acceptance is not agreement, it is understanding. It is seeing things as they are, without distortion. And once you see clearly, you can choose consciously. People can change, but real change is slow. It requires awareness, effort, consistency, and willingness. And without willingness, what you see consistently is what will continue. And this is the truth most people never fully understand. Marriage does not change people. It reveals them. It removes effort and shows habit. It removes pressure and shows natural behavior. It removes performance and shows personality. And once you see that clearly, everything becomes different. Not the person, but your understanding. You do not truly know someone until you see them without effort, because effort shows intention, but consistency shows reality. And marriage is where consistency becomes visible, not in big moments, but in small repeated ones. So the real question is not, did they change after marriage? The real question is, was I seeing them completely before? Because once you understand that, you stop chasing the imagined version, and you start seeing the real one. And that is where clarity begins. Because what you see clearly, you can choose consciously. And if this made you understand something deeper, then stay aware. Because awareness is what removes confusion. And if you want to understand relationships at a deeper level, make sure you subscribe. Because what you understand, you no longer misinterpret.